Hello, welcome to the Bearded Synergy podcast. My name is Greg. I'm a little inebriated because I've been watching sports for the last 3 days, but that's okay. And I'm joined by my co-host, Joe One-Eyed Nelson. Bad. Joe, what are we talking about today?
I wanna talk about some BS on the podcast. Can we get a mic check? So give it up for your co-host Joe and Greg as they lay it down like a penis on your leg and talk about that nerd shit insurgent. Don't be living cause the content is food-fed food on your plate. It's synergy. Name the team in history that conquers these topics like black getting beat by Listerine. I wanna talk about some BS.
Well, besides the fact that you didn't give yourself a last name, we're going to talk about
I didn't
all
give
the
myself
things that's been.
My last name is
No,
Gavin.
you didn't.
Okay, sorry.
No,
That-
you are just Greg, and then whatever moniker you just decided.
Oh, I think my
No
description. I think my description may have excused that. I'm not drunk,
then-
but I've been.
We'll just hyphenate the whole inebriated business and then make that your last name. That's
Yeah.
your last name this week. Inebriated business.
Yeah. Well, it's all good. I'm functional. I've been driving around all day, so I'm fine. But it's
I'm extremely tired. I'm drinking coffee right now.
coffee is the way to go. I'm drinking Mike's,
I wish it was cocaine.
and it's really fucking cold in here. I record my stuff on my porch, and there is no separation from the weather. So essentially, I'm recording outside, only without the wind. So
What
I'm
about that little dusk heater?
yeah, it's running, but I got my little fuzzy hat on and all that. So hopefully,
The little heater that could.
the little heater that could, the most expensive heater I've ever bought, and it's like the shittiest one too, because I had to buy stuff at Shopko, which is a really bad place to shop. Sorry, Shopko. I know normally.
You know he's gonna have to shop at Shopko.
Yeah, Shopko is like last winter our heater broke for a little bit, or furnace, and I had to buy heaters quickly because Raylan, my daughter, was still very young. I mean, she's still very young, but she was like under 1 year
She's
old.
only getting younger.
Yeah, this is before her first birthday, and we got a 6 and 4-year-old at the time. So I bought a bunch of heaters, and before I went to Walmart, I went to Shopko, and the only heater they had was that little tiny heater. I mean, it's probably a heater that would take a few hours to heat, like a small bathroom. And this heater was like $70, and that was $80 on sale at Shopko. And
Well, do you turn it on before you get into the room, or do you get into the room, get ready for the record, and then turn it on?
Today I turned it on a little bit before. My friend is over, kind of to use me for rides back and forth to do laundry. So before I went and got his laundry, I turned the heater on quick, and then I switched laundry because we gotta go to the laundry mat. Then yeah, but it's still pretty cold. It'll take a while to heat up, but that's okay. I'm used to the cold.
Put on several hoodies.
I live in Wisconsin. I'm pretty used to it. But
Yeah, I heard it was snowing yesterday.
yeah, it was snowing Friday night too a little bit. When I got outside at work, because I work at night, I saw snow fall, but none on the ground. It was just melting too quick, and then it flurried a little bit yesterday. Haven't seen any today, but then again, I woke up pretty late.
You bum.
Yeah, I'm a
Woke up at
bum.
5. Worked that overtime.
Yeah. Well, no, I was playing Borderlands, and I watched the baseball playoffs, which, by the way, I got a YouTube TV because for the last few years, I've just been using Netflix and Hulu and
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
Pirates Bay to illegally download stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's been a few years since I watched any sports, so spend some money on that. canceled Netflix and Hulu, at least for the time being. But I did watch El Camino before that, which is
I have not watched it.
it's a good watch, but
Not yet.
we'll get more in depth
We'll
with
get
that
there.
next week. Our Breaking Bad, El Camino discussion, review, whatever. But yeah,
I
it's
did
good.
see it got shit on though.
A lot of the thing is that if you start up, well, I guess I shouldn't say that because it'll kind of ruin the movie then. But it's good. It's very slow paced, kind of like Breaking Bad was in general, and it's got its high moments like Breaking Bad had. It's Breaking Bad in a movie. So there's like the show, there's a lot of low points where you get, like in the show, you'd have Walter sitting around the kitchen table talking about pointless shit. And then
There's storytelling.
it's very much just laying the groundwork, showing the differences between their families so that way you can look to the past to now and see how they act with each other to see how much they've changed. So there's some things like that, but it's mostly dealing with, it's more or less the immediate aftermath. You know, if he escapes, things like that, and the things he has to do. And there's some cameos. It's
He has to end up in a grocery store naked.
yeah, nothing like that, luckily. But I would say if you watched Breaking Bad and you enjoyed it, you'll find some stuff to like about the movie. It's not perfect, but but yeah, it's fine. Well, I know for lately we've just been covering the pay-per-views, but they've been coming out a little late, like a week later, and by then, it's kind of old news by then because the way the wrestling world works. So,
Well,
kind of
that and the landscape has immediately changed. Like
Yeah.
it was really a light switch.
yeah,
It's not just WWE anymore. It's really not.
yeah, AEW, and of course you got TNA, Ring of Honor, and all that, but I don't really keep track of all that too much.
New Japan, they're always doing stuff, but I mean for
Yeah, January.
I guess the domestic United States, I really just the hardcore demographic really follows that stuff.
Yeah. So from here, I mean, this is kind of just a test, seeing how it goes, but we're gonna focus some more on kind of what's been going on in the world of wrestling that we follow. General discussion, we'll talk about highlights of shows we like for example, The Fiend, Seth Rollins. We'll probably get into that. And, talk about some AEW, some NXT, what's been happening, our feelings about it. So instead of just one confined show, it's more going to be like loosey-goosey discussion about wrestling over coffee or something. And we'll
It's
go from
literally over coffee.
I mean, maybe over like the bigger pay-per-views, we could cover them more specifically because they're a lot bigger, like WrestleMania or something like that. But yeah, there's just too much to cover. And if we're just going to cover Hell in a Cell, we wouldn't be able to give NXT or AEW its due time. And to be honest, there's not a whole lot to talk about with Hell in a Cell. So other than
No, I mean
really the first
it was-
match and the last match, but
which
that's
I
just-
mean what a difference.
Mhm.
This was the most deceiving thing about that pay-per-view was because you know all my grievances about the previous. What was it, Clash of Champions?
Yes.
I didn't like it. I felt like it was just a house show. But the first match of Hell in a Cell, Sasha and Becky, I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dear God, this is beautiful. This is wonderful.
It was
What a great
great.
match this is. There's a lot of high spots, a lot of new things going on. The kendo sticks in the corner of the cell, in the chair. That spot was dope. It's a lot of interesting spots.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, this is good stuff. And then by the time the last match happens, I'm like, did y'all forget what you were able to do before? And then now this doesn't make sense. They broke continuity in the same night.
Yeah.
They just forgot.
Now, I actually
decades.
didn't mind the Seth Rollins Fiend match at first. I thought it was unique. I thought it stood
I like
out.
the red lighting.
Yeah, that was definitely something in that horror mood kind of thing, and they
Yeah,
made
I know. I could see what he was going for. I could see what Vince was trying for. It
yeah.
wasn't a bad attempt. It was just
There were
such a fucking fumble.
I think they went way too hard on it, and I think if you just had like all this stuff where he's smashing the Fiend with the kendo sticks and he just doesn't even flinch at it, I love that stuff. I'm like, this is great. But Seth's still
Yeah,
getting some
no
offense
selling
in.
works with
He's
certain
still
guys.
looking, Seth is still looking like he's willing to fight it. But I think that was a nice touch doing what I call the Braun Strowman finisher. The 3 or 4 stomps and then the pedigree, and then pinning him, which beat Braun Strowman at Clash of Champions. At the time, I thought that was a little stupid, but it's kind of nice how they tied that in with this, where he still kicks out. I'm like, okay, so I see why they did that.
Yeah, I was kind of burnt out on the curb stomps after a while. Maybe around the 15th curb stomp.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is getting redundant.
it got old. So I think after that, the Fiend kicks out. Seth, he sits there for a bit, like, oh my god. Then maybe the Fiend does the mandible claw, finishes the match. It's over. Seth still would have looked good. The Fiend would have looked good. It would have been, short, sweet, memorable. But then they just kept going. And it just stomp and stomp and stomp. I don't even know how many there were, but then he's piling
so
shit
many.
on him. And after a while, it just became,
Nonsense.
yeah, very redundant. And then that DQ was,
The official is a no contest, but it really did feel like a DQ.
yeah.
But, I mean, you're gonna stop the match for a sledgehammer when motherfucker had a mallet like 3 times the size of it earlier.
I know a lot of people are comparing the Mankind and Undertaker bit with it, where he throws him off, he almost dies, throws him through the cell, he almost dies.
Well, yeah, Mick Foley literally almost died.
Yeah, he was knocked unconscious for a bit. So
And he still finished that fucking match.
in regards to the fans, I understand why they're mad because I'm a fan. Where
You're staying late to boo and chant AEW and refund and all this good stuff.
yeah, now if WWE wants to put things like that, where if it's like a danger to their actual mortal existence, like, hey, these are actual lives, we don't want people to actually die, we need to put a safeguard in here so we have a way out. I think they need to explain that, but there was no explanation of it. There was no anticipation for it. So that's like the Dudley Boys putting someone through a table and then they lose because they put someone through a table without any explanation of that. Oh, well, this is a reverse table match. It's in the eyes of WWE.
We've seen some nasty shit inside that cell. We've
You know-
seen a lot of nasty, bloody fucking matches before.
Where people defend the Mankind thing, that's kind of where I see WWE's side. It's like, well, they don't want people to die. So if anything, that's probably a reason for them to end it if they feel like they need to end it. But I think you need to explain it. If you don't explain it, that, hey, this is a thing, then if you just do it unpredictably, you're going to piss everybody off. In Mankind's matches, those were accidents, more or less. Undertaker didn't mean to throw him through a cell. That was an accident. In this case, they purposely did that. And I don't understand how you have Seth 1 minute smashing his head. Granted, it's covered with a chair and a ladder. He's smashing with a toolbox. Realistically,
tools and wrenches flying everywhere.
how
It was the same thing, just a different object.
realistically you get hit with a toolbox on the flat side or a sledgehammer, how much different of an injury is that going to be? So I guess I understand storytelling wise, like, Seth, you don't want to do this. You're not this kind of person. No, think of the children, Seth. And he's like, but he has dreadlocks. Smash or something.
Yeah, the ref overplayed it way too hard. And that's the thing. It's like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a stop like this would have been fine because kayfabe wasn't such an out there type deal yet. But now it's you have your superstars go on interviews talking about bookings and spots that were planned and all. They really just opened up the curtain on the whole thing. And when you do that, you're the WWE universe, which I think kind of feels like a stupid name, but
it is. Yeah.
The universe knows what the fuck is up. We know it's a booking decision. We know exactly what you were doing. We know the whole thing was gimmicked. We know why the camera angle was there, so we couldn't see what impact was actually on Bray's fucking head. The whole thing is gimmicked. So it just doesn't fly anymore. We know it's a booking decision.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I watched a dark match on YouTube of The Fiend and Seth Rollins for the WWE Heavyweight or the Universal Championship. It was at a live show, right? And that ended in no contest. So I know they were planning it, and I know they were seeing how the audience was going to respond. But the problem is, Vince McMahon, you did it at a live event. Nobody knows everybody knows you're not going to drop the fucking title then. When you're going to the Hell in a Cell.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, people are going to be mad at the actual pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Just the whole it was just bad decisions. Just bad decisions. And that's what we've seen since is just numerous bad decisions.
Mm-hmm. Now, like in sports, I understand in this age of concussions, the NFL is going through all that. And, as wrestlers age, I mean, look at Bret Hart. He's in, pretty bad health. And,
well, that's because he took that fucking kick from Goldberg in WCW.
Yeah. There was an interview, too, where he was shitting on him for that. And
yeah, how is he going to be in the Hall of Fame when he's known for injuring people? I mean, it's a good point.
That was a hot take.
But also, Seth Rollins is the champion when he ended Sting's career. And that was in the slew of like 2 or 3 injuries. Like he was just being careless with people. He just had hurt Finn Balor at that time.
Yeah. Seth hurts a lot of people.
Yeah, Vince just likes people who don't know how to work properly.
Yeah. I know I think the only other one that hurts people more is Nia Jax. By quite a bit though. But
and then they use it as a gimmick on TV. Like she's proud of it. Don't be proud of it. Get better.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. We haven't seen her in a while, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm pretty sure she's injured now after that Elimination Chamber match, the tag team one.
Oh, yeah. That was a while ago. God damn.
Yeah, but
Samoa Joe pops up on fucking SmackDown Draft finally,
Yeah, the talk thing.
Yeah, he's not even being drafted. He's just to talk about other people getting drafted. I felt bad for Joe.
That draft was so awkward. I miss when it was like part of the draft in like the NFL or whatever is seeing their reactions, or the discussion, but they're just labeling them off like it's like a grocery list. Then they show this room with a CGI robot and a bunch of, actors and a
weird
thing pumping their fists. Yeah. It's like, where's the suspense? Who gives a shit?
I remember
it's very boring.
I remember the Vince and Ric Flair draft, and Taker got drafted to SmackDown or something like this, and the camera follows him backstage as he goes to the office and says, "You better fix this." Like he was legitimately, quote unquote, legitimately mad, but that. It felt like there were actual consequences to a draft. It felt like there were actual stakes involved. Like it actually affected the wrestlers in their careers. This was just, so you want to book different matches. All right.
But speaking of the draft and all that, what do you think about the new SmackDown setup on Fox? Like stage wise and all that,
I like the stage.
presentation wise.
Here's the thing that worries me, and this is what I was thinking yesterday. I told you I had to sit down and watch all this stuff, and I came to the conclusion that I really do like the setup. It's reminiscent of what SmackDown used to be. Remember when they had the almost looked like a tunnel, but now it's more like a, it's just a sharper, but it's a remnant of it. The presentation, it's slick. I like, it stands out, but this is when I started to realize that Vince is trying to attract more sports fans.
Yeah.
Than he is trying to keep wrestling fans, and this is going to be his problem. And it's been his problem. Instead of putting on good matches, and if NXT was in Raw and SmackDown's place, it'd be it'd be even more competitive with AEW right now, because NXT is just so much fucking wrestling. It's just good fucking wrestling.
Yeah.
But SmackDown and Raw, it's pretty much just storytelling and bullshit, fucking Rusev and Bobby Lashley drama and just all this nonsense. Yeah. But it's I saw the Fox, it's soap opera. It's soap opera like. You know what I'm saying?
It's very much like they're trying to bring back the Attitude Era, because when I saw that Bobby Lashley Rusev thing, that's the first thing I thought of was the Attitude Era. Yeah. And not in a good way. I mean,
no, all the bad storylines from the Attitude Era,
where everything's very sexualized and all that, which is, there's going to be people that enjoy that, but at the same time, it's very hard to watch.
But that's only when you balance it out with good fucking wrestling. It's got to be balanced. That stuff, Mark Henry having sex with an old lady on TV, that's acceptable as long as we can watch a really good fucking Kurt Angle match afterwards. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be, and there's no fucking balance. They don't So I watched 2 NXT episodes yesterday, right? And then I caught up with with Friday Night SmackDown. And the first match is the Baron Corbin and Shorty Gable. Shorty Gable.
Shorty, yeah, that whole thing was a joke too, on Raw, or was it where Baron Corbin's like, look, he's Shorty Gable, and then when he won the previous match that they had on SmackDown, the announcer then called him Shorty Gable. It's what? God.
And this is one of the guys on your roster who can actually fucking work. Yeah. He can actually work.
Yeah, and now he comes out as Shorty Gable. And
it's such a fucking crime.
Almost like a bunch of immature middle schoolers got a hold of the product and they're like, hey, he's short. Call him Shorty Gable. Or, hey, we should get Tyson Fury to fight that big bearded dude. Or, oh man, wouldn't it be so cool if that Bulgarian chick took her top off with that really muscly former Marine? Oh man, and he had a porn stash. Oh wow. It thinking back on it, a lot of it just seems so immature in this.
It is. And the first match on SmackDown was actually Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, but even that was slow.
Yeah.
It took them a while to actually wrestle. They were doing a lot of talking and fanfare and showboating for no reason. But did you watch the press conference?
Some fanfare I like if it's done right. Like if you have let's say Orange Cassidy. He's got his hands in his jean pockets all the time. He wears sunglasses all the time. He very much just sticks to that gimmick. His matches are fun. Someone knocks his sunglasses off. He picks them up with his feet and puts them back on his face and just kicks them. It's very fun like that. But if you're, I don't know, there's a part of wrestling where there's wrestling humor, where it happens in the ring, where things are goofy. So like a good example would be like Broken Matt Hardy. That was very much wrestling humor, you know, where a lot of his like bits were done in the ring. Like there's that bit where he's having like an intervention and he's sitting on a chair across from the other guy and then they're fighting or whatever. That stuff's great. It's awkward.
By the way, I have a.
It's cheesy. It's stupid, but it's great. But all this really awkward, just cringy stuff, like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not big on it.
I have a theory on Matt Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up. I believe that Vince got Matt Hardy from TNA to come on to WWE television, not to flourish his character with the Vulcan persona or whatever, but for Bray to study Matt Hardy's character. And then as soon as Bray got, a good fix on what The Fiend would become, Vince got rid of Matt Hardy.
Yeah, I
Isn't
know.
That weird? Isn't that weird how that timing worked out?
I know like Matt and Bray both got
won't commit
injured.
to Vulcan. Yeah, but I mean, what were they going to do with him?
Yeah, I know he hurt his hip, and I know Matt's been trying to get back in, but that's something I'd like to see maybe down the line where broken or woken Matt comes back and has an interaction with the Fiend, like I made you or something. I mean, I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. But
he'd be like, yes.
What do you think about the Fiend being on SmackDown now? Or because that
I think that was probably the smarter move. Get him away from Seth because that's gonna stick for a while. That memory's not gonna go away.
Yeah, that whole episode of Raw was just so awkward. Like, that Raw that followed Hell in a Cell, where they just, instead of opening the show up and having the booze and all that, or the chance of AEW, they just opened it up to that beatdown of Rusev and Randy Orton and Baron Corbin with the Bobby Lashley Lana thing. So, I think they knew full well that they had their foot, stuck in the toilet. So they just didn't give the fans a chance to, have their time on live television like that.
Yeah, they didn't mention it for a while till
they didn't mention it till like the last hour, and it was only in like a clip. Any other pay-per-view, you go back to I don't even know when. That's how long this goes. They will reference what happened in that pay-per-view almost immediately.
It's your brand's biggest title.
Yeah, like right before the open title, like montage scenes, they'll talk about it. And this, it's like nothing happened at all. It was like
they should have just gave him the fucking title. They should have just gave Bray the fucking title. That would have solved everything.
Part of my worry is that I think they overbooked the Fiend in a way, too, where now in future matches, how the hell is anyone going to take it off him? Like, in the world of wrestling, the very much theater, the act that is wrestling, if you got the Fiend being smushed on the head with a sledgehammer and all this shit, curb stomped, 17 times, who the hell's going to challenge him for it?
Well, I think that's the corner they painted themselves in with, was it the Bludgeon Brothers and Braun Strowman. Like the Bludgeon Brothers, they got the tag team titles, but they were just doing vignettes backstage for a while. They weren't even defending them because what are you going to do? You have to have a couple teams go at them at the same time to even try to take the titles from them. Braun Strowman, after you have him just massacre people, you give him the title, but who do you reasonably take?
Yeah, you got Braun Strowman.
Take the title off him.
You got Braun Strowman annihilating everyone almost single-handedly. I remember that Elimination Chamber match when like the winner of it would face Brock Lesnar at whatever, and Braun Strowman eliminated every single person in that match, and then he got beat by Roman Reigns, like with like a spear and a Superman punch, and it's like, oh my god, it's just, I don't know.
Like, of course.
They got this thing where they make people appear to be overpowered, yet they won't give them the gold. I don't know. I'm assuming it's Vince. Sorry, Vince, if you're not doing it, but I don't know what their deal
definitely
is with
fucking
making
Vince.
people seem like they're immortal, like they just cannot. Now, there's nothing wrong with having like a guy that has heart, or the Undertaker. After you think he's down, he'll sit up, and it's like, oh, what a great moment. But if you're beating down a dude like lethally with weapons and he's still getting up, then you're painting yourself in a corner for the future. How is, let's say Drew McIntyre challenges the hypothetical Fiend with the Universal title. I mean, there's no controversy or anything about it. It's like, well, obviously he's going to win. So I think, that's why I put that if Bray won and grabbed Seth after that, air quotes, Braun Strowman finisher Seth did to him, the many curb stomps of the pedigree, if he just grabbed him and ended it, I think it would have been perfect. I don't know. It kind of took me out of it a bit, where it's almost like John Cena versus Nexus, where these 8 dudes are beating on him and John Cena's just... Or like Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior, kind of, where no matter what happens, they cannot lose. I don't know, that stuff takes me out of it.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like they put the Fiend in the title picture too quickly, because I understand him going after Seth. It makes sense, but there was nowhere in that feud where Bray showed any ambition to get that title. Never mention it. He's just Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins. Nothing about the title. I'm very conflicted about this because I don't know what the answer is, because they kind of screwed the pooch on it. Hopefully with this draft and they separate them, hopefully they can repair both. But
I mean, what do you do with the Fiend now, though? I mean,
I'm not sure. What I'm more disappointed in is that yet again Brock Lesnar has that title, and he's probably going to be facing
they just
Seth
move
Rollins.
him to a different brand to do the same fucking thing.
And now he's going to be facing Seth Rollins at Survivor Series, which is like, I don't want to see that match again. When Brock Lesnar won that, I was initially mad because Kofi deserved better than that. He absolutely does. And now he's just back to throwing pancakes and shit. So I really hope they put him back in the title picture. But my initial thought,
they won't,
after that was, oh my God, Survivor Series, Brock Lesnar versus The Fiend. That would be fantastic. But instead they just kept it on Seth. And I cannot even explain how unexcited I am for this pay-per-view. Even though it's in Chicago and it's one of the big ones, you cannot tell me that like a month after this draft, there's all of a sudden going to be brand loyalty enough to where they're willing to go on teams and attack each other on each other's shows like they do on Survivor Series usually.
Well, they're going to push a story where it's like, we're new to the brand, so we got to make this stand out, and our brand's better than yours. It's gonna be rushed, but a week or 2 weeks after the pay-per-view, nobody will talk about it because that's how it goes.
Yeah, and I understand it because Survivor Series is typically around this time of year, and then there's AEW coming out, and you got the Fox deal, so I understand the need for the draft. I just think it's really bad timing all in all, but my God. I would rather have Kofi and Seth than keep it off Brock. Why does Cain Velasquez need to be involved in a title picture with Brock?
Well, I
Why
guess he
can't they
signed a
just?
multi-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, why can't Cain Velasquez come back and just have a normal feud with him? Why does everything involving Brock have to involve the title? He can't just have a normal feud anymore. And
Yeah, giving him the title is pointless. It literally did nothing. It did nothing. It's not going to make people. No, people were turning away from the product because of Brock Lesnar holding the title. So now, in a moment where you have to prove to a network that you were worth that much money, what you do is you give the title to that guy that steered people away from the product in the first place. And he's like, okay, by the way, this is going to represent our brand. Doesn't make sense. It was a
yeah,
weird move. And
and
it undermined Kofi's entire title reign.
now that I'm noticing, upon thinking back on this, I don't think WWE knows how to do feuds that don't revolve around a title anymore. And even when they have
No,
them, they
absolutely not.
like it's so damn frustrating. Again, think back to the Attitude Era. There's so many feuds. You have the big title ones, and then you have all these other feuds that aren't even involving titles. It's just fucking beef with each other over one thing or another. Kurt Angle's got a problem with Triple H or Steve Austin or whatever. I'm so fed up. I'm so fed up that the Cain Velasquez Brock Lesnar feud literally writes itself, and I was actually impressed that they tied in Rey Mysterio the way they did. I wasn't expecting that. That was a really good surprise.
That at least, see, now Ray is the part where it doesn't save the match for me, but it at least helps the continuity. Brock, he comes down, he destroys Ray and his son Dominic. Ray comes back and says, hey, by the way, meet the godfather of my son that you fucked up. And then it's happens to be this guy who destroyed Brock in real fucking life.
Yeah.
And now, they're capitalizing on that. That at least was well done. I'll give them that. For as much as what they could have done with it or couldn't have done with it, that was at least something.
Now, how I would have booked it, and I don't mean for it to sound like, oh, I know what's best. The fan is always right. I'm not in that world. But why can't you have Kofi at least stand up to Brock a little bit? Have Brock beat him up a bit. It's fine. It's Brock Lesnar. And then you have like an interruption where Kane comes out. Brock Lesnar's like, oh shit, Kofi capitalizes, beats Brock, and then Kane can come down and, that way Kofi keeps the title. You still get all the buzz from Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez, which is a good story push, but now you buried one guy down. He's back to throwing pancakes. You gave the title back to probably one of the worst champions in recent memory. Don't get me wrong, Brock Lesnar's good.
Here's the thing.
He's not on nearly enough, and his matches are so repetitive.
That's exactly it.
They're not captivating to watch.
He's actually a very underappreciated worker. Like, Brock can sell when he wants, and he can really put on one hell of a match. If the new wrestling fans haven't seen Brock and Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19, you don't know what the fuck you're missing. He can fucking work. He is really talented, but yeah, this contract where he's not on TV and the way the matches are booked, it doesn't do him any favors. It doesn't help him. The thing that I probably disliked the most out of Kofi losing the championship like that was WWE was telling me that Kofi Kingston, the reigning WWE champion, didn't realize who his opponent was and said, hey, you know what would be a really good start to the match? If I leap on this motherfucker's shoulders to where I would actually be in the position for his finishing move. You tell me that your champion didn't do his homework to realize that that was a bad idea?
Yeah.
That he would just give himself up for an F5? I couldn't
very
believe it. I'm like,
disappointing.
well, that is such a legitimate champion, a legitimate title holder would never be like, all right, I'm just going to give myself up right now. Do everything he could to avoid being on that motherfucker's shoulders.
Especially when you got matches with Brock, like Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, that went the way they did, where they at least got their points in. They pushed Brock, to a point.
It was longer than 8 seconds.
And when you put Kofi in that situation, it makes him look so bad. And especially because it's a new crowd. It's a mainstream crowd. It's one of the big 4 channels. So a lot of this is going to be their first impression because it's the first fucking show on that channel. And you take that dude who hopefully will be back in the title picture. And if he does, if they stick around, they're going to like, oh, that's that guy that got pinned in one move. So all that, this whole title reign where the whole thing is Kofi Kingston trying to prove people he's a legit champion. And you just brought in a new audience that thinks the exact opposite. And that to me is unforgivable. Where
it's ridiculous.
That title has been kept out of the hands of fucking Booker T, Shelton Benjamin. Kofi Kingston was the first African American to hold that title. That title has been around for absolutely forever. He's the first one, and he has this reputation. You put him on. I'm absolutely.
The Rock he's got some African American in him.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they really fucking dropped the ball on this one.
I'm
so
very
much
upset
so
with
that
that.
a million
I'm
people left.
I'm much more upset about this Kofi thing than the Fiend thing, to be honest. But it's my God,
and they just swept it under the carpet. Like they swept the Fiend under the carpet at least for the first week. But
it's so funny you say that because then he came out of the floor. He was swept under the carpet. Then he came out of the floor of the mat and pulled Seth Rollins down like he was fucking Freddy Krueger pulling someone into their
was
bed.
Pretty cool. Then he just pops his head up and looks at him
like fucking Bugs Bunny. I love the Fiend, and my God, I hope they do him well. He's one of the few things they really got pulling people in right now.
Give him a fucking title. Just give it to him. I don't care what. It's just
if they give it to him off of Brock, I will be happy. But
that'd be so much better than giving it to him off of Seth. Imagine if the Fiend wins the WWE Championship from Brock Lesnar from a mandible claw.
It'd be so great. My God.
It'd be fantastic.
Hopefully they keep it away from Cain Velasquez because, I mean, no offense to Cain Velasquez, but in the world of
he hasn't
WWE,
paid his dues.
I mean,
one could say Ronda didn't pay her dues either, but
yeah, I mean, say that you compare what a lot of these wrestlers have in common is they're very muscular, they look imposing. You look at Cain Velasquez. He looks like he just sat on the couch for a year. And I'm not one to talk. I am really out of shape. So I'm not saying I'm any better, but you look at him.
You're also not on Fox Network with your shirt off.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Cain Velasquez and you look at Chad Gable, Muhammad Ali.
Shorty Gable.
Chad Gable. Fuck that. That's about not that bigger people can't do it. Not that Cain Velasquez isn't imposing or anything, but it's I don't know.
To be fair,
it's a bit of a contrast.
Cain would fuck a lot of people up. Cain is a nasty motherfucker.
Cain is very good.
He's rude. He's very rude. What do you think about Bailey turning heel the way she did?
I love it. I love it. I'm a fan of Bailey. Probably I don't know. For a few
It's
years now,
long
she's been
overdue.
my favorite, and in a lot of her interviews, she's been saying she wants to go heel. And for a while, it looked like for that first initial Sasha and her rivalry, after they went like onto Raw and they're doing that like
Oh, they did the
couples
fucking
counseling.
friendship counsel. Oh my goodness.
They ran that into the ground, and it looked like they were kind of doing the same here, where she's like half-assing it. But I'm so happy they pulled the trigger. I'm just happy they pulled the trigger. In wrestling, you can always go back. You can always go back to your original thing. People don't care that much. Daniel Bryant just turned face after all that shit he did, and he was getting some serious goddamn heat.
He was. I was
So,
impressed. I
Bailey-
loved him as a heel.
I did too. I really loved him as a heel, but let her go heel. Let's see what she could do. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what she does.
Do you think, because she just got the title back from Charlotte after 6 days. Now, Sasha is drafted to SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, depending on Raw, I mean, I know that the draft order got leaked, but you know,
They've been slipping recently with that, too. It's not the first thing to get leaked.
yeah, Raw doesn't have a lot of women on there now. Sasha's on SmackDown. Lacey Evans is on SmackDown. They really just have Becky Lynch because right now SmackDown is,
And Nikki Cross.
yeah, it's so
Or she wasn't drafted at all, actually, yeah.
they're gonna need
they
to pull some. Yeah, they separated Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. That was a little odd.
Yeah.
So they're gonna need to pull some heavy hitters. Maybe Ronda Rousey's coming back. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. Otherwise, I don't know what they're gonna do to compete with Becky. Because
Well,
Becky
they got to
needs,
figure that shit out.
Because Becky's good,
Nia
but
Jax
she needs.
is coming back.
Yeah. I heard she's gonna be coming back around the Royal Rumble, and it's in that wheelhouse right now, so it's possible.
I could do without it.
Yeah.
She's no Awesome Kong. We'll just say that.
Awesome Kong's great. What do you think about, speaking of all this MMA stuff, before we move on to other subjects, what do you think about the Tyson Fury Braun Strowman deal?
Now, this is where. So yeah, the Fox presentation and watching the press conference on the fucking network, because I just as mad as I get with this fucking company, I won't get rid of the network. I dig the catalog too much. But I'm watching the press conference, and it felt like Vince could not try harder to be what they're not. Just the whole setup, like, it didn't feel organic, like an Austin and Mike Tyson type deal. You know what I'm saying? It didn't even feel as fun as a Big Show and Floyd Mayweather type deal. It feels like you want to be quote unquote legitimized to real sports people so fucking badly that you're going to extraordinary lengths to produce this bullshit. I'm not excited at all for this. Number one, it's very hard to make a legitimate boxer look legitimate in a professional wrestling ring. Number two, it's harder to do that when it's under Vince McMahon. And number three, what does Braun Strowman have to offer? He's like he is a strong man. He is a legit strong man. He's competed. He's done well. What are you gonna do? And then what's the Gypsy King gonna do in a wrestling ring? Because he can't throw actual punches.
Yeah, he'll kill him.
It doesn't help the cause for me. It just the Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar thing, it works for me because at least Cain has been, working on his wrestling. These guys have legitimate, story that's span for the past 10 years, like that actually works for me.
Yeah.
This just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. There's no way they can make this look good to where it makes me watch it and feel like I'm entertained. I'm only gonna watch and be disappointed. I know it.
It is on Crown Jewel, so
Jesus, I can't believe they're still doing Crown Jewel too. And that's how you know they're desperate when you book these two matches. If they know putting their guys on the card just isn't good enough, they're like, let's see who we can get elsewhere in the sports world.
yeah, it's on Halloween,
kinda
October
sad.
31st, so a couple
I
weeks.
saw that.
That's I don't know. When you
I'll
got
watch it, but I'm still not gonna like it. I already know it.
when you got pay-per-views like Evolution that were legitimately awesome, and you got such a great, catalog of women's wrestlers, and then you just go back to Saudi Arabia again. I mean, I get it; it's money, but my God, money is not everything. At some point, your soul's got to be worth something. And
See, for me,
I mean,
the location's not even the issue for me. I mean, I get the beef and, don't go there. I understand all the people who say that, but as a blind eye to the politics, just looking at the product is just never good there. Whenever they try to do one of these, it's just it's not fucking good. It's not a good show. If there were good shows with actual consequences and actual stories and actually good fucking matches, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be excited for it. Regardless of the politics, I'd be like, okay, so I'm ready for some good wrestling. But when you have dookie ass fucking matches, and then you stack the politics on top, it makes the whole thing even worse. It's like you're just going there just to waste everybody's time and to offend a lot of people.
mm-hmm.
And to not pay Aleister Black and women.
Yeah, I'm not upset so much that they're in Saudi Arabia specifically. I think if you're going to main event women on WrestleMania and then you do a pay-per-view where they're not even legally allowed to perform at that pay-per-view,
yeah,
I think there's some issues there. But at the same time, there's a saying where to enlighten, God, I say that like we're better, but to enlighten the Middle East, what would you do? Like, you take some planes and you drop some blue jeans, some rock music, some cigarettes, America. I think this is a lot of that, where I think WWE could actually do some good here, where they're getting these people to watch the product, they're seeing these women, and it may actually give women more rights in that country. So in that way, I think it's great. But you're right, the show is garbage. The most eventful thing that happened was Titus O'Neil slipping under the ring. That was...
Yeah.
Otherwise, Braun Strowman's just a big attraction, which he is again, which is a shame. And I think they need to put a little more effort into it if they want to see the reactions. I understand that they want to see the older guys. I know Hulk Hogan's talking about coming back to do one more match.
Why?
That'll probably be in Saudi Arabia.
Well, are they doing the Ric Flair Hulk Hogan at Crown Jewel? Is that what that is?
Yeah, Team Flair, Team
their Survivor Series matchup.
I think that's another reason why I'm not so much excited for Survivor Series, because they're doing a team matchup like a few weeks before Survivor Series.
Yeah. They're shooting their guns early.
I don't know. It's a
shame.
shame.
That would have been a good concept for actual Survivor Series. You take two legends,
Yeah. It's
And
so
then
like,
the teams are going to be two completely different styles because the wrestlers are two completely different styles.
yeah. So instead of the
It,
usual brand, it's these legend deals. So
and
kind
that
of
would have
like,
taken the focus off of the draft.
yeah, so kind of like that Donald Trump Vince McMahon WrestleMania match with Umaga and Bobby Lashley.
Where
That the
fucking Vince went
shave
bald. He's got to
shave
protect
your
Mr.
head
President's
bald,
hair.
but it's like WWE Legends. I think that'll be a great concept. Let's fuck up here view. Have DDP on there, have him pick some dude, and have I don't know Kevin Nash pick another. You could do all this different stuff. It'd be so much fun, and it would give ratings a boost too because they love it when the legends are on. Fuck, have Stone Cold back on there for a bit. He could have Kevin Owens. There's so many parallels you could do with it, but I don't know. Again, I don't mean to sound like I know how to book because I don't. I know there's a lot of wrestlers that hate when people do that.
Well, I
But
mean, we also know who doesn't
it's
know
hard
how
not
to book.
to see it. You know, it's so hard not to see it when there's such an obvious path where they could take it. So I think it's pretty fair to say we're not the happiest with Raw and SmackDown lately. What do you think about the Wednesday Night Wars and all that, NXT and AEW?
I really wish NXT wasn't on Wednesday nights because that program deserves a spotlight. Like they didn't have to put a program head to head with AEW. It's pompous. It's making things even more obvious. There's
very
no
much
reason
antagonistic. In a perfect world, I'd put NXT on Tuesday or Thursday.
to do it. Yeah.
It'd be so great because NXT is still kind of the bar for me.
The last two shows have been so goddamn good.
I'm so happy to see Ciampa back. I absolutely love that man. And Finn Balor coming back, I think, is a great move. And hopefully it revives some fire under him where they take him seriously when he comes back this time. Where, I don't know, he just hasn't done a lot on the main roster other than that initial, title win. But
Seth had an interim. I don't think they took him seriously on the main roster, which is a mistake because, I mean, they gave AJ Styles a really good run. And AJ Styles is my favorite, but Finn is along the lines of that kind of worker. If you can give Daniel Bryan, AJ, Kofi, if you can give these guys good ass fucking title runs, you can give fucking Finn Balor a title run, especially when he's got his alter ego. There were so many missed opportunities with him. So seeing him on NXT is going to be good, and everybody on NXT knows how to fucking work. It feels like instead of just getting as many eyes as you can on that product, they intentionally went to war, and there's no point for that. In the wrestling community, it does not hurt to be cohesive with this. People can be fans of both companies. This isn't the 90s. The 90s was, WCW was taking legitimate fucking jabs at WWF. There was there were some fucking heat. You have wrestlers going from one brand to the other one, dropping titles in fucking garbage cans, and people showing up and saying, fuck this other company. You had that shit going on. It was a heated moment, but at times like this, wrestling fans, we just want to watch good wrestling. That's it. We just want to watch good wrestling.
Yeah,
so making it's distracting. It doesn't need it. I think everybody would be happier if we could just. I mean, also the world we live in now, we can watch it all because of streaming and all this fun shit, but
I think that's where WWE kind of, again, shot themselves in the foot, where AEW, you kind of have to watch it live, where NXT, you can watch it on WWE Network if you miss it.
yeah, the whole fucking show is
so
on. without
when you're
commercials. It's beautiful.
when you're asking people to choose between one or the other, and yet you can watch one of them at a later date, whenever you want at your convenience, you're gonna pick the one where you can't do that. So it's so unwise, and I think NXT needs a lot more eyes on it. But God,
They definitely do.
yeah. Though I am very happy with how AEW is doing with their first two shows.
I really dig this Inner Circle stable.
Yeah, that
Jericho is just too goddamn good.
that promo he did where they were
The We the
doing
People chant.
And then this man right here, this giant behind me. You may think you know who he is, but his real name is Jake Hagar. And yeah, Jake Hagar, he's a former world champion, but more importantly, right here, right now, he is the toughest, most terrified, most crazy MMA fighter in the world today. Okay, hold on. Hey, calm down for 1 second. Calm down for 1 second. We the People sucks and it's dead and buried. It was a stupid idea from bad creative and all that's gone.
Yeah, and he says that's old. That was bad creative.
Yeah,
oh my
it
god,
didn't
that
work
popped
then.
me so good. I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant. And their matches are always so fun. There's so much I like about AEW, which that's why I would be a lot madder, which I am already pretty bad about Raw and SmackDown if I didn't have NXT and AEW. To me, that's really like a must-see TV thing is those two, which it's a shame they're head-to-head. They really should be on different nights. Just spread it out. You would make it so much better for wrestling fans and for newcoming wrestling fans because there's a lot of buzz around AEW right now, and a lot of people are coming back to watch it. Yeah, AEW received this last Wednesday 1.18 million total viewers, which is 28% lower, but it is the second week, so it makes sense. And NXT got 790,000, so that's a decent difference, especially in terms of cable programming. I am happy AEW is doing so good. Like, when you watch AEW, what are some things that you see that you like or dislike compared to what we're used to on WWE? Like, what are some things you like about it?
The things that stick out for me are every match feels like a legitimate contest. Like off the bat, Shivani, JR, the announce team presents each match like it's an actual sporting contest, right? Like I can close my eyes and visualize what's going on because these guys are so goddamn good. There's actual time limits, so it feels like there's an added stake. You got to get it done.
That first match of the tag team tournament, the Young Bucks and Private Party, when they said there was a time limit, and if they hit the time limit, they would both be eliminated. I thought that was so fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Like, that is some legitimate stakes.
Yeah, you better finish this fucking match.
It's just that simple.
I like that Cody and
not
Young Bucks and Omega, they're not in their, because obviously they're involved in the company, right? They're in charge of what's going on, but they're not using it to their advantage on TV. They're using their platform to push other people, and I love that. Which we're coming from a company that the owner put the fucking championship belt on him when he was in his fucking 50s and 60s. He put Vince McMahon put the ECW championship on himself. But these guys are like, we're going to showcase these motherfuckers. We're going to let you guys know how good our people are.
During the initial AEW pay-per-views, I was a little worried with the Young Bucks, with just how good they were looking against, they had like 3 matches against the Lucha Brothers. And then when they had that match, the Private Party, I was so fucking happy to see that they won. Because how they booked themselves in those pay-per-views was so goddamn good. And when Private Party comes out with the victory, it was legitimately surprising. Where now, one big thing I noticed is just the difference of like culture. When you watch WWE, it seems like the fans just aren't even happy to be there. It's like they're depressed and they're just like, oh, another roll up again. Where in this, again, the biggest finishing move, the roll up, it actually worked. There was a thing where they knocked, oh God, I'm not wildly familiar with the twins yet of the Young Bucks, but they knocked one of them off and then they can roll up, and it was like a legitimate upset that advanced a story. Instead of just, here's a match for no reason, it's a roll up. And then when you watch AEW, the people are actually excited to be there. They're chanting the whole time, which is very similar to NXT. But
yeah, the crowd in NXT is really fucking hyped up too.
Yeah, Full
but
Sail's always
that's
good.
what legitimate wrestling does. We're talking about 2 programs that from bell to bell, there's storytelling and action going on. Whereas that's what I was saying earlier with the Roman Reigns and the Seth Rollins and the Baron Corbins and the Chad Gables, is you take matches from NXT or AEW and you're on the edge of your seat because it's like, man, how are they fucking doing all these spots? This is wildly impressive. And the movesets are drastically like more, I don't want to say dangerous, but they're like you almost like, ooh, like god damn, like they just hit you in a certain way. Where opposed to the other one, whereas we're gonna have 6 fucking rest holds in a match. Each one's gonna be a minute and a half, and it's gonna slow the match pace down, and you're gonna yell at the audience, and then come back, and then oh no, you get punched in the head. There's just bullshit. There's too much bullshit in these, and in NXT
Seth
and AEW,
Rollins does fucking 3 suicide dives in a row. It's
the same fucking
predictability.
thing. The Shawn Spears John Moxley match, right? If it was Ty Dillinger and Dean Ambrose, that match would have been fucking boring because of how WWE would have booked it. But we're like how they're displayed here. It's like they're giving their performers a fucking legitimate shot to go out there and do what they do. It was wildly entertaining. And it was probably the first time since I've noticed fucking Shawn Spears / Ty Dillinger that I gave a fuck about him in a match.
His stuff in NXT was pretty good. He never had a real title run, but his matches were always competitive and they were fun. And that's why you had so many chants for him, like the turn, because it was fun. Where at WWE, it was very much just a joke. And then he became boring, and then he was never on.
He was a gimmick for a Royal Rumble entry.
Yeah, very much. And that's a shame, because he's very good. But
I mean, he's not good with his chair shots by any means, but yeah, overall, he's very nice.
I know on, I think it was the New York Comic-Con, John Moxley was there, and he was talking about AEW, and someone asked him how many writers were in the back at AEW, and he said there were 0. Like, there were no writers at all. It's just them. And it's stuff like that where wrestling, it's like 3 or 4 promos, then, match, and it's usually pretty boring. By the end, something exciting happens, and in the beginning, something exciting happens where, Like that Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc match, as Jimmy Havoc is coming down, they're showing his promo, which I thought was so clever. And it's just simple. It
It saves time.
yeah, he's saying who he is, where he's like, "You will feel my pain," and again, it's very wrestling. It's like in your face saying how you're gonna do all this, you hurt your opponent, but it's so well done. And then you just wait till his music's over. He stands there for a little bit, then the other guy comes down, and then while Darby Allin was coming down, they were just showing replays of his other matches with like Cody Rhodes, showing some of his highlights, and I thought that was such a great way to showcase these guys, like to viewers that aren't familiar with them. At some point, I want to get to the point where we're not comparing AEW to WWE, but because it's WWE, it's the mainstay. Their promos feel so awkward and stilted, and
Well, I mean,
there's
to be
definitely
fair,
a big difference. I mean,
when I compare the two, it's not because WWE's the top dog. They very much are. They're a publicly traded company, and they've done well for themselves, and they place a monopoly for so long. But when I think about the two, as far as programs and what they do stylistically in the ring, I think of it like I'm comparing two rappers, right? Like WWE is like Drake right now. It's flashy. There's not much technical shit going on. It's just it's poppy. You know what I'm saying? But AEW is like an Immortal Technique, or just a Most Def. They're just fucking technical and full of fucking flavor, and they got so much fucking going for it. You know what I'm saying? It's just stylistically they're very different. And it's not even the popularity that appeals to me. It's just what they decide to do within their multiple hour blocks. And right now, it's like AEW. Every verse is fucking nasty. Every fucking match has a punchline. And WWE is just trying to perform a played out hook that's only going to appeal for fucking 30 minutes until somebody hears a new song. It's like, you're making money, but you're not gaining respect.
I know there was that take Vince had where he thought NXT and AEW had too much wrestling in it, and that he wanted to be more entertainment, but I think it's pretty clear that's what people want. There's a reason why NXT and AEW are considered like the best right now. That's because the effort they're putting into the ring, and yet they're still having fun. Where you look at NXT, you got people like Velveteen Dream, shit like. There's that match they had during the Super Bowl last year, the halftime heat. Gargano Ciampa, Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream, Ricochet, and Aleister Black. It was just a 6-man tag, just pointless, right during halftime. It was amazing. It was probably one of the best matches of the year for me. And it was so goofy. They were having so much fun. They're doing weird taunts to each other and shit. That match to me is a lot of what I like about wrestling. It doesn't have to be super serious. It could still be goofy. And AEW has that, where they have your serious guys like Sean Spears or John Moxley, where John Moxley was so good, where when he was first attacking Kenny Omega and he grabs the camera and just bitch slaps it and just keeps going. Like, it's just a quick little thing. I love that shit.
I like that.
You got people like
his t-shirt said unscripted violence.
Yeah.
He really likes not having a script.
And then you got people like Orange Cassidy and Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, all these fucking goofy ass people, but they're still so good. And you can have your serious and your goofy, but people want it to be in the ring. They don't want a bunch of backstage promos and shit. wrestling
It's just taken away.
fans
It just takes away from the
want shit
product.
with wrestling. I think that's why Broken Matt Hardy did so well, is because a lot of his stuff was in ring when he did it, more than likely unscripted, and there's a reason why it went so viral, and there's a reason why I think it failed. Ultimately on WWE was because I think they started putting their hands in it, having him do this, having him do that, and it's a shame.
Well, that and the
because-
entire time Matt was in a match or even shown on TV, you had Michael Cole just insulting him. I don't know why. I said, what a goofball. This is ridiculous. Michael Cole, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
It's not helping. Why are you insulting the product? Why is Vince having him insult the product? You don't. If you're gonna put it on TV, number one, have confidence in it because you just spent money on it. And number two, just Matt Hardy is fantastic.
He's
One of the
great,
most
yeah.
underutilized people in wrestling is Matt Hardy. And every time he came up with a new gimmick, it was fresh. I enjoyed fucking Matt Hardy version 1.
I did too.
He was a great heel.
I dug it a lot. I think another thing is that they may need to update their announcers. I mean, I don't mind Corey Graves, but Michael Cole, Kane, they're kind of wearing their welcome a little bit. But
I can dig what's going on, or at least what was going on Raw. You know, how they changed up the announcers, what they did.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That was fresh for me. And plus, I love King. I know Jerry Lawler has been vocal about his displeasure in doing announcing in the first place. So I'm just happy whenever he does it. But I always like what he provides. Corey Graves is all right. I can dig him. Sometimes he gets a little when he tries to rant. I don't give a fuck. But I could just do without Michael Cole. I'm telling you.
Every time he says, "It's the big dog," I just like, ugh.
He sounds so fake.
My eyes get stuck in the back of my head.
He just sounds incredibly fake. When he's trying to sell something, he pushes too hard, and it doesn't make me care about what's going on at all.
No.
The only time I even kind of liked him is when he was with Taz, and I really just liked Taz. I didn't even care for him then.
Yeah, I mean, not to say AW's perfect. I mean, JR has his moments where he kind of loses track of what he's saying, but luckily, it's Excalibur and who's the other guy?
Tony Schiavone?
Yeah. Luckily, those two kind of help keep him in a confined space where they more do the play-by-play, and JR kind of does like the color commentary and like the stories and the analogies and stuff. So,
well, JR at least has an
works for
honest
them.
approach to it. You know, he sounds. Number one, he cares. He's just he's sincerely happy to do it. He doesn't have to do it. He's got a shit ton of money. You know, his books sell like a motherfucker. He really doesn't have to do it. He's just so excited to do it.
mm-hmm.
So he has an honest approach to it.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up NXT's commentary next, but we already know that's pretty good. But then I thought of Beth Phoenix, and what do you think about Edge coming back or the rumors surrounding it?
Number one, I love Beth Phoenix on commentary. She does a great job. It was terrible to go from fucking Renee Young to Beth because I was like, why is Renee there? Or just more Beth Phoenix. Edge, I was never really a big fan of Edge. He's good. I dig it. But when he was, I think when I was getting away from it for a little bit, it's when he was getting into his prime of rated R superstar thing, and he was in bed with Lita in the ring, and
that was a definite blemish.
He didn't do anything for me, and even I really dug Christian as a heel. But I mean, Edge, he never ticked my boxes. If he comes back, you know, if he has good matches, that's great. I'm sure he'll have better matches than Kurt Angle's last run. But also, we've talked about it before on this fucking podcast. They have too many people. The roster's too full. They said over 90 or over 70 superstars are up for a draft. We don't see 70 superstars throughout the week of programming.
We barely see 10.
Yeah, we see the same handful of people. So you're going to have someone who already had his career, who's already in the Hall of Fame, who's already collected his championships, come back to take TV time away from somebody else. I don't see it. He doesn't have to do it.
From listening to their show, the Edge and Christian podcast, which I was upset that they ended it. I did
enjoy the podcast, and I did enjoy the show on the network.
Yes, that too. But it seems to me Edge is very much in that same boat, where he's more interested in putting over. I know he's been very vocal about giving more time to other wrestlers like the Revival or Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler. You know, him and Christian seem very vocal about that, and they're pretty quick to criticize WWE when they don't do that. I know when they had that reunion show, they were pretty angry about it and how they handled that with having
so why is he coming
with
back?
having DX and all of them beat up the Revival. I know they weren't too happy about that in particular. So I think
Edge, that was ridiculous.
Like more recent, I know Edge speared Elias, but I think that was more of like a test to see if he was ready to come back. But I think if he's used in more of a way like when Becky Lynch was first really getting her kick, a big part of that was she ripped Edge a new one.
And see, here's the thing, Becky. You can win all the championships that you want. Your face can be on all the posters that you want. But the choices you're making, they will change who you are. They will stain your soul. And I'm looking at you, Becky, and I still see a good person in there. I'm gonna tell you that the end result of all the choices that you're making right now, you know how it ends? It ends with you sitting in your home, staring at the championships on the wall, reminiscing about all of your accomplishments by yourself. But Becky, here's the kicker. You won't even like yourself.
Yeah, well, you're right. I don't like myself. I love myself. Now stop being so condescending to the champ and get out of my ring. Careful you don't hurt your neck again going through those ropes.
I think if they use him in that way to put over people, I mean, not that he needs to be squashed all the time, but maybe in like a manager role or something where he can really help build someone up, I think that would be great. But
something like that I can get behind for sure.
Yeah.
As long as he's not coming in punking some up and comer and then dipping out.
Yeah.
That doesn't help anybody.
I have a soft spot for those tag teams during the Attitude Era, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, Too Cool, all those guys. Like,
so happy
that was my
cool.
favorite part of those shows. I would always wait for those parts on the pay-per-views. They're my favorite matches. I dug their shit. And I'm happy Edge got his time in the limelight. That match with The Undertaker, which was weird because it wasn't even like a main event, but it was still so good. And he's got that match with Mick Foley where he spears him through that flaming table.
That match,
know.
I remember watching that pay-per-view. That was a good fucking match.
Yeah,
And
he's got
that's one of
some-
those things where it helps that bring a vet back like Mick Foley.
Yeah,
because he brings the best out of some fucking people. At least he did. He did that for Randy Orton too, I think, during his Legend Killer days.
I trust Edge, but obviously in WWE you don't have all of the control, so I don't know how it's gonna go.
Yeah, I guess
But
it's if Triple
I am
H was in
interested to
charge,
see
I
it.
trust it more. But Vince is still running the show.
We'll see how it goes. I'm a little nervous, but we do still have Crown Jewel. I know we talked about that a little bit, but what else are you excited about for this month? I think we got like we got the Darby Allin, Chris Jericho match this week on AEW.
Yeah,
I don't think they.
pretty
I
sure
know there's-
Jericho's just gonna.
Yeah, he'll
Fuck him
win,
up.
but Darby Allin will look pretty good doing it. Very
Yeah.
much Jeff Hardy-ish.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Jericho is he's even when he comes out on top, he knows how to let somebody fucking show their feathers.
Yeah. So
I'm just excited to see. I mean, AEW, it's pretty much the honeymoon phase still. Like we're like, oh, a new wrestling show.
yeah,
I'm excited to see, if they keep the ball rolling. I know they can. I like that that AEW Dark is on YouTube. That was a very smart move.
otherwise we still got the draft for Raw coming up. We have a pretty good idea how that'll go, but
Do you?
You never know.
Hold on. Lucha House Party goes to Raw. How do you? Out of everybody who didn't get drafted, Lucha House Party gets drafted in the first night.
they're just squash people, which is a shame because they're so good, and yet they're just used to put over Lars Sullivan. And Braun
There are
Strowman.
these three motherfuckers are so talented. Every time they come in, it's exciting. But yeah, that's the thing is they're used as a trio of jobbers. They're not taken seriously, and the word house party doesn't help. But for three really talented dudes, they really just don't garner much respect from the company, I was surprised to see them get drafted over a lot of people.
Yeah. I think in an ideal world, you got Raw on Monday, then you could separate 205 Live, give it some actual recognition, because
Is there wait, hold on. Is there 205 Live still? Because the Cruiserweight
After-
Championship was on NXT. It was called the NXT
after this-
Cruiserweight.
after this last week of Raw, it was on apparently. So
So
you could put on
So-
they have more than enough. You could put NXT UK on, though I wouldn't do that because it's more like it really is more like a developmental, but you got people like Walter and Tyler Bate and all them, which are great, but give 205 Live maybe an hour. Give NXT, move it on a different day, give it the time it deserves. Hell, still give it an hour, give it two. Keep AEW on Wednesday, put Smackdown on Friday. Obviously, that's all not going to happen. This is just me, with my Christmas list saying, Santa, I've been a good boy. Can you
I would
reschedule the wrestling lineup on cable television?
I would put
So-
NXT on Thursday.
I,
Mainly because we know we had Thursday Night SmackDown for a long time.
yeah, we did.
So we know that time slot works. It will be a great follow up for from AEW, and it'll get people interested back in the WWE umbrella by the time you get back to SmackDown. Which isn't it weird that instinctively we go AEW and NXT, and then Raw and SmackDown, even though
Yeah.
NXT is a WWE product. how are you so good and so shitty at the same time?
Different
This is like
people.
it's
You
like
got
finding a
Shawn
woman so
Michaels.
incredible, but she just has terrible pussy.
Yeah, you got Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Billy Kidman, Scotty 2 Hotty, William Regal, fucking Albert. Over there, you got all these actual wrestlers, former wrestlers, a lot of times Hall of Fame wrestlers. Train these guys, building them up. Where on Raw and SmackDown, it's just Vince McMahon and some writers. Which, at the time before there was like Dean Malenko, but now Dean Malenko's on AEW, and I know Road Dogg left and Billy Gunn left, so they're losing a lot of their like wrestler guys that were there helping the show with the writing and the direction, and NXT is just full of them. Not only that, but NXT is full of like the best ones.
Maybe they should ask their veteran wrestlers what they fucking want. That's probably the best thing. Well, one of the better things, but non-wrestling related, non-working related. But the thing about AEW with them not scripting their promos, by that old tactic of talk about this, and go have fun with it. Fucking brilliant. It worked. It's tried and true. And obviously, we've seen if you micromanage every fucking word, they sound robotic and dishonest, and they don't want to do it. And it shows on camera. It obviously shows on camera.
That's the other thing why I like NXT a lot, because they really don't have a lot of promos. Though lately they have been having more of them. A lot more than usual. But even then, they're still like amusing. But
yeah, I mean,
for
Velveteen will
promos.
come out and do a promo, but it's different from the show. It has contrast. It's entertaining as fuck.
Well, is there anything else you want to talk about before we hang it up for today?
I'm really not excited to watch Crown Jewel, but I'm gonna watch it anyways, so we can talk about it and shit on it.
Yeah, I'm not really excited about it either. Tyson Fury and that don't excite me. Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar, it would have excited me, but throwing the title in there just, God, it's such a downer for me. It really is.
And you can't even have Kofi on SmackDown talk about his fucking title loss. You're not even gonna bring it up.
Yeah, he's just happier than shit, throwing pancakes.
Why the fuck is AJ Styles losing so much? Why is the OC losing so much?
They don't know how to book him, and that's a shame. It's
like, just have.
Hopefully,
you should always have a strong heel faction, always.
Yeah,
and they are just fucking ruining these guys.
Yeah, there were so many back again in the Attitude Era and all that, or at least, hell, the 80s, where there's at least like a dominant tag team where you got like the Legion of Doom or the Rockers, or, you go back to the Attitude Era, you got fucking, even if they weren't good, they got like a Right to Censor, the Brood, then you got Evolution, and that's really it. Then obviously you got NWO, but really since Evolution, there really hasn't been one that stuck out. I mean, the Spirit Squad, Nexus, those are all pretty short-lived. But
everything's short-lived nowadays, though.
You need dominant ones, where that's kind of why I like. I think that's why I like the Undisputed Era so much, is because they've been around for a while and they've been dominant, and their matches are compelling and all that. And it as a long-time watcher, there's still ebbs and flows, and you can see it between them where there's still some tension, but it's hinted, like with like Roderick Strong and all them, since he's like not an original member. So, but now, fucking Raw, SmackDown, they only have the OC really, and they're not doing shit with them. Where NXT has what is it? Imperium with Walter from NXT UK, and they got Undisputed Era. So they have these two great fucking factions on this little itty bitty show. It's not that hard. You can pull it off. You know, where that last match where Walter faced who the hell? He's a new arrival, but I cannot remember his name.
I can't remember the name either, but it was a really good fucking match. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, where they had the dude lose and Walter still won, but the guy still looked strong.
And it was such a different contrast in performers.
You look at NXT UK, they got like Mustache Mountain and all this stuff. And that show doesn't even have like story arcs to it. And they still have like these dominant groups and stables. I don't see why it's so hard when you have all
It's just lack of effort. That's all it is. And misplaced priorities.
So I'm very excited. Shit, yawn. Walter versus Kushida. That's what it was. I'm very excited for what NXT and AEW have to offer, and I think the longer it goes, and I know NXT isn't getting a lot of views right now, but with it being on cable now, it's gonna get more wrestling fans to watch it, and they're gonna start. I think Raw and SmackDown are gonna start seeing a drop, and you're gonna start seeing Wednesday night become a much bigger deal if it's gonna stay this way. Or NXT is going to start getting...
SmackDown already dropped. The second episode, I think, dropped by 1 million views. 1 million viewers.
Yeah, where AEW dropped by maybe a couple 100,000. So it's...
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge decline. Fucking 1 million people said, no, not today.
Yeah. So I think the longer this goes, NXT and AEW are just going to stick out more. And Raw and SmackDown are going to start showing their age more, which is a shame because they got such good talent on there. But the way they handle the show is just, they're really behind. And if they want to stay relevant, they're going to need to figure their shit out. Otherwise, it's just, I don't know. There's no reason why Kofi should be dropping the title like that. When you have a perfectly excusable way he could keep it with Ken Velasquez, there's no way to have that Hell in a Cell ending finish like that, especially if the Fiend was actually hurt and all that. You need to call it off. By all means, call it off. But it's obviously staged. It's obviously acted. They obviously planned it out, and that's what pisses me off. Not that I wish for Bray to get hurt, but
he just sprung up and started, and then Seth with blood coming out of the mouth.
Yeah, that was, he just sprung right up, blood gouging everywhere. Like,
you're not redeeming anybody. Like, nobody's gonna remember. Nobody cares about that. Nobody fucking cares about that. They only cared about the fact that there was no finish again on your big title match.
How are they not aware that people don't like this? I mean, you look at that SummerSlam, Kofi versus Randy Orton, disqualification. Oh, but afterwards Kofi beat him up really good. Who cares?
Yeah, nobody cares.
We could have skipped that Clash of Champions match and ended it there. You could have ended it here. You could have kept it short and sweet. Could have kept it entertaining. You could have moved on. Seth could go back to chasing something or focus on, my God, they need some feuds that don't revolve around titles because, I mean, their title feuds even suck.
Yeah, there's not much going for them. But even like so on AEW, Pac was on commentary during one of the matches, and he was talking about his win-loss record. He hasn't lost yet, right? Mm-hmm. They talk about the win-loss record so often during that show, it really drives to the point that wins and losses fucking matter. Like, they won't just throw these fucking matches away. And that's what people don't want to see matches thrown away. If we're going to spend time watching it, trying to care about it, the company has to show that they care about it too. It's just fundamental shit. Just fundamental shit.
And that's the cool thing about like NXT and all that too, is when you'd have Ciampa facing Gargano, Ciampa doesn't beat him. But when Ciampa ended up winning that title from Aleister Black, Ciampa would beat everybody else. It's like this weird Achilles heel, and it made for an interesting story where, you know, eventually Johnny Gargano didn't win it off of Ciampa. Ciampa got injured. So those, if you book people well, again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you could create stories with that, or you could create natural rivalries based on the ratings. It writes itself. So it doesn't need to be so hard. I know it sounds like, you know, we're being negative Nancy's, but it really doesn't need to be that hard. I mean, just look at AEW. You know, Young Bucks, Private Party. If the time limit hits, they're both eliminated. There's your drama. It's that simple. Or it's God. I don't know. I'm so happy for this month, and I'm so mad. I'm so conflicted.
What a polarizing month for wrestling. I feel like every wrestling episode lately, we go from bullshitting to talk shit more, you know. But, I mean, what are they giving us?
Yeah.
Vince, what are you giving us? I would love to love these shows. I would love to love these shows again. I'm just happy now that there's options.
Yeah, me too. Well, all right.
Hopefully they have longevity.
Any closing thoughts you got? Anything you want to talk about?
No, that was probably the biggest closing thought for me. Is I just hope there's longevity in these ventures, and Vince gets his shit together. Yeah. Crazy ass old man. Or if you're gonna be this fucking committed to XFL, go with your little fucking football league. Who gives a fuck? Go. Nobody's gonna watch it anyways, but go distract yourself and leave the creative to fucking Heyman and Bischoff, Triple H, whoever the fuck. Just don't touch it because you can't do the job anymore. If I go to work tomorrow, right? I work in a factory. If both my arms get chopped off on the way to work, I can't do my job. There's no reason for me to be there. Apparently, Vince's creative limb was chopped the fuck off. He can't do the job. Go somewhere else.
And not to say I'm ungrateful to Vince. I mean, Vince has obviously had a great career. I mean, bringing all this together. And he's still pulling all these weeks. He's there for almost everything. He's on the road. He's not staying at home. But Vince, dude, you've done enough. You deserve time to rest. Enjoy it.
Yeah, rest in peace.
There's no reason why you can't be like a basketball owner, you know, relax every now and again. You can still be like a Mark Cuban, show up every now and again, but you don't need to ram your dick down everybody's throat. You don't. Enjoy it. Enjoy the product. Let it grow organically. You don't need to strangle it in the fucking crib because Rusev gets over on his own or whatever.
Why wouldn't he cheer for that? You should be happy about that shit. Don't fucking downplay these guys. If they're getting over, dummy, that's more money in your pocket. That's just more money for you if people come up to see Rusev. Don't shut that motherfucker down. That only helps you. And I think the biggest thing about Vince's senile fucking era right now is, there's reports that after Hell in a Cell, he was laughing it off, like it was all it was like nothing but a big prank to him. That doesn't stop. Just stop. People spent money to come see you fucking put on a legitimate show. Stop being a dummy.
Yeah, and again, he's got competition now that'll take his viewers away if he can't put on a stable product. I know after that Hell in a Cell thing, the Young Bucks tweeted just simply, we're back on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I
Dynamite
saw
TNT at this time. It's so simple, but it's true. You have competition now willing to nibble off those people because they want more viewers. I'm sure NXT wants more viewers. They deserve it. TNA, Ring of Honor, is Lucha Underground still a thing?
No,
I
but
don't-
it
I don't
was
think
good.
They are, but
It was good while it lasted.
yeah. Well,
I heard
point is,
Morrison was coming back.
yeah. Oh yeah, I heard that. Johnny Moon or whatever. It's
Johnny Mundo.
All right. I know next week we're going to be talking about our Breaking Bad El Camino discussion, which should be a lot of fun. And then after that, we'll have our Halloween episode. We're still waiting on some developments to see what exactly happens, but either way, it'll be
Fucking
fun.
fingers crossed. Yeah, either way, we'll celebrate something of the horror genre.
Yeah. It's otherwise we have some other plans in the works, so keep your ears to the ground. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter. I don't do much on Instagram, but you can follow me there too. We're also on YouTube. All our videos are on there, and you can keep your eye on that for some new developments also. Otherwise, you could find us wherever you listen to podcasts, and if you like the show, help it grow. I'm a little dizzy, so I'm having fun watching baseball and all that again. So happy days for me.
You go right
Woo,
back
woo.
to your baseball, Greg.
Yeah, my Braves lost. I'm sad. Now I got to deal with the fucking
Save them.
Cardinals and their satanic rituals and all that. I mean, really, it's whoever wins between the Astros and the Yankees are gonna win. But still, you never know. All right. Well, all right. Bye bye.